Welcome to Silliman University, a campus by the sea. Welcome to our online training course on ensuring student engagement in a technology-enhanced, limited face-to-face instruction. It is a 16-week course and a total of 54 hours with approximately 3.5 hours per week of engagement. The training is free and open to all teachers, librarians, and student teachers from private, basic, or higher education. The training course is an upskilling activity on developing modalities, approaches, and strategies in the classroom to engage students during the limited face-to-face instruction. The upskilling will highlight skills and competencies in implementing limited face-to-face instruction, emphasizing technology and pedagogy. It will be delivered in mixed modalities, hybrid and high-mix modalities.
At the end of the upskilling session, participants should be able to assess the different teaching modalities, approaches, and strategies for technology-enhanced flexible learning and limited face-to-face instruction. 2. Use OER and other tools for the production and sharing of teaching resources. 3. Develop policies and guidelines that are ethical, social, and legally accepted norms. And lastly, recalibrate a syllabus or learning plan that is appropriate for post-pandemic instruction. The training will be delivered in high-flex mode with synchronous learning. First, the in-person session for selected topics will be at the Dr. Lau ICI Laboratory, Silliman University, Dumaguete City. However, this is only for selected participants, especially for those coming from the province. Second, the synchronous online session will be delivered via Zoom. The synchronous session will be done every last Monday of the month at 5 to 6 in the afternoon. The synchronous session is designed for deepening, consultation, and Q&A with speakers and facilitators. Third, the asynchronous session will be done via ARSO LMS, the official learning management system of the course. The asynchronous session is designed for listening and viewing of pre-recorded lectures, reading required lecture notes, participating in the weekly discussion, performing weekly knowledge checks, performing performance tasks, and reading announcements. We designed this training in a flipped learning microlearning, and gamification strategy, following a class pacing with some self-paced activities.
There will be 10 weekly knowledge checks, which are a set of objective questions with a maximum of 20 questions each. The online quiz will typically be available for a week. Likewise, there will be 4 performance tasks, which are short activities related to the module. Moreover, the final knowledge test is a comprehensive test covering the topics from the first day to the last day of discussion. There are 40 objective type items.
A certificate of attendance per module will be issued for those who comply with the requirements of each module. A digital badge will be given for every completed module. A certificate of participation with 15 CPD points will be given to those who first got below 80% score but higher than 0, second, submitted all the performance tasks, and third, attended at least 50% of the online synchronous or Zoom session. Last but not the least, a certificate of completion with 15 CPD points will be issued if the following requirements are met. First, those achieving 80% or more of the total points possible for all 4 modules. Second, submitted all the performance tasks. And third, attended at least 50% of the online synchronous or Zoom sessions.
I will be the lead facilitator. Together with me are experts and trained teachers at the Office of Cineman Online University Learning. Together also are the faculty from the College of Computer Studies and our Technology Business Incubation Office from Cineman University.
This training is funded by the Private Education Assistance Committee or PEA of Aspire Project Grant through the Association of Christian Schools, Colleges and Universities.
Before the webinar begins, rename your Zoom name to your complete name and department and/or affiliation so that we can easily identify you. Kindly mute your microphone when not in use. Next, switch on your video if your connectivity allows you. If you have questions with regards to the presentation, there will be an open forum right after. Please type it in the chat box or use the raise hand reaction button in Zoom and unmute yourself. The session is video recorded. Recordings will be made available at the Silliman Online University Learning website. Heavenly Father, we come to you in this hour, asking for your guidance and protection to our virtual gathering today. We thank you for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of work, and the gift of friendship. We thank you for this great opportunity to bring us together in this session as brothers and sisters. Bless the committee, the facilitator, and the attendees of this gathering. May we continue to value and appreciate the true essence and meaning of life with the help of your grace. And as we go along to our discussion today, we humbly pray that you would deepen our understanding. Lord, enlighten us and give us wisdom every day. Forgive us for our shortcomings and remind us to always be mindful of the things we do in life. We offer our life and our decisions to you, O Lord. May this gathering today create a memorable experience and a fruitful outcome. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, our Redeemer and our Savior. Amen.
Okay, hi and hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Dr. Mariano Linolao building. And welcome to our in-house participants and also to our live participants in Zoom. I hope everyone is feeling excited to learn new things today. May I know the people in Zoom of how you are feeling right now? Perhaps you can type it in the chat box on how you are feeling. And of course, I would also like to ask our in-house participants here, how are you guys feeling? Great. Like that, is that how you feel? Great when you just say great. How you guys feeling? Like, are you excited to learn new things that you can actually apply to your education? Yes. How about our participants in Zoom? I'm checking our chat box here. They're feeling excited, good and excited to learn, eager to learn. Yes, for sure, everything that you will be learning today will definitely be applied on your career or on your learning journey. So with that, I would like to ask Dr. Dave Marcial, our speaker, to give us also the welcome remarks. Sir Dave?
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and of course, our live audience here. Thank you for coming. While we are also talking about my topic, we're also demonstrating to you how a high flex modality works. No? Currently, we are in a high flex modality, and this is part of the training on the online training on ensuring student engagement during the limited face-to-face. So welcome to Dr. Mariano Lau ICI Laboratory, to our live audience there. Maybe perhaps we can focus our participants, technical. Maybe we can focus them so that our online participants can see them. Also, you can wave and hi. Those are our online participants. What we can see, our online participants actually can be seen here from our end. And I hope online participants can see also our live audience right now. So I'm Dave Marcial, currently the project director of this, the project leader of this online training course, at the same time, the director for Silliman Online University Learning. Welcome, and I hope you will enjoy and learn something from this HighFlex seminar. Okay, so the topic given to me is all about techno-pedagogical models for post-pandemic teaching and learning. Some of these are basically reused from the previous material that I delivered in many of the gatherings, but I feel that this is still very helpful, especially that we are transitioning from full online distance learning to what we call flexible learning, or transitioning now to the new normal, I should say, the new normal of teaching and learning. Let me share my screen so that we can start our discussion. Okay. So my topic is techno-pedagogical models for post-pandemic teaching and learning. But before I'll go to the techno-pedagogical model, let me share or revisit first the 21st century teaching and learning. What is this? For sure, before COVID, we hear these words, right? We hear 21st century learning, 21st century teachers, 21st century skills, and so on and so forth. But what's this really mean? We know that during the 21st century teaching and learning, collaborative problem solving was highlighted. So collaboration means this involves a contribution and exchange of ideas, knowledge or resources to achieve a common goal. We know also that in the structure of the 21st century learning, teaching and learning, we are now connected to each other, and that what we call digital network. We were able to connect to each other, learn from each other. That is because there's a so-called digital ecosystem. And this digital ecosystem, the minimum requirement into this is the literacy in information and communication technology. Digital literacy, digital means here social networking, ICT literacy, technological awareness, and simulation that encapsulate the entire digital ecosystem. All of this, when we put this concept into together, this means that this is the era of learning to collaborate with others and connect through technology, which are all essential skills in the knowledge-based economy. Now, the question, what is knowledge-based economy? So we said because of the fourth industrial revolution, because of the Internet of Things, and so on and so forth, we are producing a lot of data, which when processed, this becomes information and becomes knowledge in an organization. We know also that information and communication technology transforms pedagogy. Do you agree? Do you agree? It transforms pedagogy. Before COVID, I did a research and we found out that educational technology promotes active learning. That educational technology also provide students with competencies and technological skills. We also found out that educational technology stimulates students in collaborative and project-based learning. We also able to know that ICT or educational technology, to be more specific, provide students with customized instruction like personalized learning, just like what you receive in our LMS. There are personalized messages coming from your teachers as if the teacher is round the clock sending messages to you, but these are customization technique. And it breaks down the wall of the classroom because we learn or we can learn anytime, anywhere, as long as there is internet connectivity. And that it improves even social constructivism and understanding of the matter. In educational technology, there's a lot of competency standards. Before COVID also, UNESCO released this ICT competency standards for teachers. So what is this? This is something like a guideline for the teachers on how to integrate educational technology. Why? Because in a country like Philippines, we are always challenged with internet connectivity. We are challenged with investment. We are challenged with cost. So ICT integration or educational technology doesn't mean that we should integrate of the same level. There are levels of integration that we can follow. We should not say that school X and school Y should have the same level of educational technology integration. Why? Because it matters on the institution's available ICT resources, the institution's competency and skills in process, in technology, and so on and so forth. Such that in this competency standard, it encapsulates all teaching and learning responsibilities of a teacher, which includes understanding ICT, curriculum and assessment, pedagogy, ICT, organization and administration in the classroom, and also with teacher professional learning. Let's take a look at pedagogy. No? If you can see under the pedagogy here, the first level is called literacy, and the second level is called deepening, knowledge deepening, And the last level is actually the highest level, which many of the developed countries are into this level. In my study way back 2015, I found out that the Philippines is actually at the end tail of literacy and going to the level of knowledge deepening. That before COVID. Take note that together with pedagogy, educational technology is marrying technology and pedagogy. At the ICT level, there is a so-called basic tools, complex tools, and the pervasive tools. What are basic tools? These are just office productivity. What are complex tools? This is the use of gamification. This is the use of mobile technology. This is the use of a learning management system. While pervasive tools, this is the use of Internet of Things, the fourth industrial revolution tools, such as Internet of Things, smart technology, robotics, AI, machine learning, educational data mining, and so on and so forth. That is the level in terms of ICT. So this is just one. In the Philippines, we attempted in wave, I think we have a more than a decade, almost 2 decade competency standards for teachers, ICT competency standard for teachers, which is due for revision because that's old, that's very old. But this could serve as a guide or our basis when we integrate educational technology in the classroom. In educational technology also, there are emerging theories. This is not about we will just integrate ICT in our classroom because that is required, because our generation now are millennials. It actually follows on certain theories, philosophies, and principles also, such as situated cognition, distributed cognition, socially shared cognition, connectivism, behaviorism, and I think equally important also is on the theory of constructivism. That our generation now, our learners now, learn so fast when they see visuals, they see connections, they see symbols, and so on and so forth. My point here is there are theories, principles, and guidelines that the integration framework or model is anchored on. Okay, so there's a lot. And another model that's very popular when we talk about educational technology is the so-called TPAC. This is technological, pedagogical, content, knowledge. So what is this? It has 4 knowledge bases. These 4 knowledge bases includes technology, pedagogy, content, and knowledge. When they merge together, forming into 3 primary forms of knowledge, mix and match into 4 knowledge bases, teachers applicable to teaching with technology. For example, when we wanted to integrate technology, we have to think about the pedagogy and the knowledge. It is not that we will use AI because I like it. We will use a learning management system because we have that and it is an institutional policy. That means that when we revisit our syllabus and we want to use an educational technology, we have to consider content, the knowledge that we want to convey, that our students or learners should learn, and of course on the pedagogy that we wanted to establish and follow in the delivery of our content. Fast forward, what happens, because I was talking all of this before COVID. Fast forward, the impact of COVID. If you remember 2 years ago, I think you were second year at that time. Second year? Okay. Second year. When the first COVID patient here in Dumaguete, remember the time? Right? That was sometime February. And then we said we tried to control it by ourselves. Until towards the end, we still continue, right? Then mid-year of that year, we said total lockdown. Then we'll have our first full online distance learning. And all of us were rattled and all of us became so, what happened? And all of us so nervous, anxious, and trying to embrace educational technology, especially for the teachers in our online audience, that we have no choice. We have no choice then, 2 years ago. Otherwise, we have no load. Whether we like it or not, we have to deliver it, especially to Seliman and some higher education institutions here who venture into their first experience on online distance learning. Many teachers were forced to attend massive training, expedited training, attended a training for 4 hours, and then on the next day delivered the entire topic in a full online distance learning. So you cannot really expect that those times and those years is fluid and smooth in the delivery of online distance learning. Expected that there's a lot of challenges. Even right now, we have challenges here. But the important thing there, one of the silver lining, I should say, of COVID-19 on education is it accelerated integration of educational technology. Because, before COVID, I had a couple of projects with the Commission on Higher Education going around the Philippines to teach teachers to integrate educational technology. And it was really a challenge. Only few will respond to our call. And then if they attended the training, nothing will happen immediately after the training. But because of COVID, we learned so much. We learned a lot. We learned about hybrid learning. We learned about HyFlex. We did not even hear those words before. HyFlex, blended learning, and so on and so forth. So during COVID also, we were able, just to emphasize, we learned so much about technology-enhanced flexible learning. So what's that flexible learning? I think those were that's the first time that we hear the word flexible learning. The Commission on Higher Education released a guideline and a definition in the context of our country about flexible learning. My topic this afternoon would be biased to technology-oriented flexible learning because flexible learning does not mean technology. There is computer. A modular way of doing the delivery is also a flexible learning. But we will not touch that because I'll be talking about technology-enhanced flexible learning. We learned about this model that in flexible learning, there is institutional agility, personal flexibility. That includes flexibility of time, flexibility of the teacher, flexibility of the assessment, and so on, and all those aspects in teaching and learning. That is why it is called flexible learning. In flexible learning also, flexible learning is a learning design perspective deeply rooted in the needs of students. That is why it's called flexible learning. With the main objective of being to provide them with the most flexible, what's that flexible thing? The most flexible content, the most flexible schedule, the most flexible access, and the most flexible learning styles. Okay? So flexibility in terms of content, flexibility in terms of schedule. That is why we have asynchronous. No? That not all times should be synchronous online. That is to give way also for our students who have difficulty in accessing to the internet. Access also. We have a classroom in a full online distance delivery should be resources should come in different format in terms of accessibility. Maybe there is a video, there's a multimedia, a plain text, and other formats of resources. The learning styles, that is why there is a so-called personalized learning and automated personalized learning journey, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the variables that we can say that a classroom or a class is on flexible learning. And all of this flexibility can be augmented with educational technology or ICT for education. During COVID also, during the technology-enhanced flexible learning modality, we learn about remote learning. Do you know what is a remote learning and how it differs from an ODL, an online distance learning? Remote learning, these are kind of strategy where there is no asynchronous. The class is delivered all the time in synchronous online, meaning they are on a live video session. That is called remote learning. Okay? There is also called bichronous learning. While you are doing remote learning, there is a couple of activities asynchronous. That is why it's called bichronous. Your synchronous learning coupled with the bichronous or asynchronous learning, making it bichronous learning. We also learn about the modular distance learning. Okay? But of course, with emphasis on technology, there is this, especially in the Department of Education, the digital modular distance learning, either offline or online. What's this offline? They save the file, or maybe they send it via Facebook. They download the file, and then they email their assignment or the exercises or the activities. It's called modular. But the delivery method or platform used is, instead of a printable worksheet, they use the digital component. That is why it's called digital modular distance learning. Then we learned a lot of pedagogical approaches. We explored, we experimented, and embraced about flipped learning. Any one of you here can explain what is a flipped learning? Flipped learning did not exist because of COVID. There were researches already that showcase flipped learning in the classroom. What is flipped learning? Anyone? Do you have idea? For our online audience, please just chat your responses if you know what's a flipped learning. What makes it flip? Anyone? Huh? New term pa. New term pa. Flipped learning. Let me check the audience. Can we avail of the presentation? Yes. The presentation is available in our virtual classroom. Anyone would like to share their thoughts? What is a what is a flipped learning? No idea what's a flipped learning? Can you give an example? Okay, please. Someone is raising the hand. Sir Dino Paulo Cortez. Yes, sir. You can unmute.
Good evening po. Could I be
Good
heard?
afternoon. Yes, we can.
Ay,
You can be.
wow. Ayan, so I think flipped learning happens when the requirements are or videos are done before coming to class.
Okay. Okay. So the example, the flipped learning in the example of Sir Dino is before you come to class, all the videos and reading materials should should be performed already, meaning you should read in advance before coming into the class. Because in the flipped learning, there's no more lecture and discussion. Immediately, you will go to performance task. That is why it's called flipped learning. Because the traditional way of doing it, the teacher will discuss in the classroom. At the end of the time, the teacher will say, assignment, perform this at home. Okay? Flipped learning is the opposite. There's no more discussion. There's no more lecture because there are pre-recorded videos. There are materials produced, reading material. Do that at home. Then when you come inside the class, let's perform and do the activity. That's a flipped learning. Let me share again my screen. The other pedagogical approach that we learned and acquire skills during the pandemic is gamification and game-based learning. What's the difference? What is a gamification? A gamification is you are putting a taste of fun. You are gamifying not just your content, but you can gamify also your delivery and your method of interaction with the teacher. That is an example of gamification. So for example, the use of polls, the use of whiteboard, online or electronic whiteboard, the use of breakout, the use of surveys, polls, and even let's say for example a quiz bowl, and then you will give rewards. That's gamification. While game-based learning is you are converting either your content or delivery into a game. Let's say for example Minecraft for education, or last year we developed two mobile apps. We developed a topic on responsible use of social media. Instead of discussing inside the class about responsible use of social media, we converted our content into a mobile app game. We also, to Siliman, whole person education is a class or a subject, we also developed a mobile app that can teach students about whole person education at Siliman. That is an example of game-based learning. Another pedagogical approach that we learned during COVID is micro-learning. What is micro-learning? Micro-learning is a holistic approach that deals with relatively small learning units. It involves short-term focus strategy. This is very helpful, especially in our country, Philippines, where internet is very difficult and very challenging. So that is why we have to chop our materials into short and small. No, we should not, as teachers, we should not just simply download 1 hour pre-recorded video and the students will have a hard time in downloading and viewing it because humana lang ang time, all the time is consumed of just simply rotating. Okay, so chop. And then in the preparation of your materials, make sure that your materials are light, not so heavy. A lot of digital images and so on and so forth, which are useless because the students cannot download the material because it's like 5,000 gig or whatsoever. No, so micro learning. We also learn about personalized learning. If you have Moodle, for our online audience here, if you have Moodle or we have an LMS, there are personalization technique there where you can send your greetings, you can send your feedback, and even acceleration of the student to the next module are restricted based on the performance of the student. That's an example of personalized learning. So some key characteristics of personalized learning is flexibility, varied learning strategies, just-in-time direct instruction, co-planning, mastery-based assessment, choice and voice demonstrating learning. All of this is dependent to the nature and kind of our learners. That is why common terminologies in personalized learning is learning journey, learning customization, that you customize the learning journey of our learners based on their performance in the class. Okay? So with all of this, personalized learning, gamification, game-based learning, micro-learning, flip learning, these are the common modalities that we learned during COVID, during the full ODL, for those who delivered into full ODL. Question so far? None? From our audience, let me check.
I have one student, sir.
Yes.
What is the difference between flipped learning and flipped classrooms?
Okay. What's the difference? Just a nomenclature. They are just similar. The flipped classroom refers to the environment. That refers to the classroom itself, no? Because the flipped classroom is different physically in terms of infrastructure, different from a traditional classroom. A flipped classroom normally do not have chairs like, in front of the blackboard and whiteboard or something like that. It's all about open table where students can perform. Because remember, there's no more lecture in a flipped class. Flipped learning is the strategy. Flipped classroom is the setup. Okay? Specific examples for personalized learning. So specific examples for personalized learning. So for example, Sir Man. Okay. For example, for personalized learning, to us at Silliman, we have a learning management system. We have a picture there, personalized learning designer. So for example, I have this. I have a quiz. If the students will get 80%, I will give additional points of 2 points. That's personalized learning. Or I will send a message, very good, congratulations. And then if you will reach this midterm grade, you will be brought to another material. And while you cannot pass a certain level of grade requirement, there will be an additional quiz will be given to you. That's an example of personalized learning. Another example, before the start of the class, I will give you a pre-assessment. So for example, if you will get 80% of this, then you can only access this group of materials. And if you will get a perfect score, then you can access and you can proceed immediately to the final quiz or final activity. Okay, so that's an example of a personalized learning. Now, in the next couple of slides, I'll be talking about the transformation. I'll talk about the transformation. What's this transformation? It's similar to how pedagogy, ICT and pedagogy marry together and how they are transformed and their evolution. Evolution until we arrive now in the post-pandemic teaching and learning. That techno-pedagogical transformation. As I mentioned, we learned all of this, right? Personalized learning, gamification, game-based, micro-learning, and flipped learning. All of this, they are actually called cybergogy. New term? Okay. It's a cybergogy. They coined it as cybergogy. Cybergogy existed not because of COVID. Cybergogy existed before COVID. That is actually in the area of educational technology. So what is cybergogy then? Cybergogy focuses on helping students and young people to learn by facilitating and technologically enabling learner-centered, autonomous, and collaborative learning in a virtual environment. That means during COVID, I am already a user or implementer of cybergogy because I delivered it online and we were told that we should follow technology enhanced flexible learning. In cybergogy also, the core of its model is basically making sure that learning is engaging. At the core is awareness that strategies used for face-to-face learning may not be the same used in the virtual environment. That is why many teachers have struggled because they don't have, when they teach in a full online distance learning, they don't have experience at all. So what happens is their experience in a face-to-face classroom, they are trying to deliver it exactly the same that they deliver it in a face-to-face learning. That is why there's a lot of challenges from the perspective of the learners because the two face-to-face instruction and a online distance learning are really two different modalities. Okay, so for the online learning experience to be successful, students must be furnished with prior knowledge. That is why the flipped learning, motivated to learn and positively engaged in the learning process. In cybergogy also, some of the key features of cybergogy includes, number one, putting the right people, elements, and resources in place to succeed. There should be instructional designer, there should be a staff for the LMS, a staff for the recording, and so on and so forth. Evaluating results through the learning outcome, assessment will come in here, and providing feedback and taking action to maintain the alignment, note the alignment with the established educational and societal goals. That is before COVID. Yes, those flipped learning and everything, those were before COVID. And those pedagogies existed even before COVID. So before COVID, as I mentioned, that cybergogy. What was the transformation? From face to face, then we call it COVIDized to flexible learning. So face to face to COVIDized. COVIDized meaning we tried to deliver it during the height of the pandemic, which is the COVID-19. Then to flexible learning. We learned that we can apply flexible learning, but we opted for technology-enhanced flexible learning. But we met a lot of challenges. Who among you here did not experience challenges along the way during the implementation of the online distance learning? For sure, maybe there were instances that you get so angry to Seliman, perhaps because, or to your teacher, because you cannot upload a 1 gig file because the LMS of Seliman is limited to 5 MB. Because those are strategies. We strategize it, making sure that our resources are in a maximum utilization. Maybe there were instances that the teachers are so stressed and the teachers that now, or maybe we have a lot of sleepless nights preparing all our lecture materials, pre-recorded videos, and so on and so forth. Okay, we conducted a study and we found out this, the challenges during technology-enhanced flexible learning, and these are, we group them according to this. The first one is program and learning objectives and outcomes that are difficult to deliver online. It was an acknowledgement and a realization that there are really content and there are skills and competencies, objective and outcomes that cannot be delivered in an online delivery, which to me very acceptable and logical. Why? Because our syllabus, our syllabi were created and drafted before COVID, which is in face-to-face. So obviously, the outcomes that you declare in that syllabus are verbs that can be achieved in a face-to-face setup. Okay? That's the one. The second challenge there, student disengagement. We conducted a study of it, and the results shows that even there is an international research, a global research, that there's a certain percentage the students did not learn during COVID time. So those are the knowledge loss according to the study. There is also a so-called in terms of this one. Loneliness, social presence, and isolation. That is also one. And the most popular challenge is the online cheating and academic integrity in general. They said there are arguments that there's a lot of honors, academic honors, Latin honors, and so on and so forth, because according to some studies, they are in the generation of copy and paste or the control F, no? And take the exams and so on and so forth. Why? Because the exams are also not translated into an ideal full online delivery. Maybe the exam was simply cut and paste from the face-to-face way of assessment, which is also understandable, part of the challenge. But we will not highlight on the challenges. We should always go for positivity. Let's try to convert these opportunities from the challenges to opportunities. And this is what we found out. That on the challenge on the acknowledgement and realization that there are programs and learning objectives and outcomes that are difficult to deliver online, we said that we learned about recalibration of learning outcomes integrating Bloom's digital taxonomy. You know Bloom's taxonomy, right? There is also a so-called Bloom's digital taxonomy. You try to revisit that. We implemented also a scalable learning technologies that can cater learners' need. So we define and we design our own environment based on the available technologies that we have in our school. In terms of student engagement, engage learners in different forms of engagement. We deliver the content in multiple modes. We prioritize active learning. We conducted small but frequent teaching and learning activities, personalized learning, and we made learning fun and interactive. Isolation, loneliness, social presence. We increased our engagement with parents in the learning process. We incorporated teaching and learning activities with less screen time. And during online cheating, we reminded our students about digital citizenship and responsible use of social media, the use of online proctoring software, and the administration, or we administered online exams in different types, in different methods, and in different styles. So those are the different challenges and opportunities during the technology-enhanced flexible learning brought by readiness of our skills and competencies in delivering an online distance learning. So to recall, that's before COVID. Let us proceed during the time of the actual COVIDization of our instruction. I call it COVIDized instruction. What happens during the COVIDized instruction? This is the part where we do from flexible learning to limited face-to-face. Again, flexible learning to limited face-to-face. This is actually 2020, before 2020 rather, towards 2020. This is last year when the Commission on Higher Education allowed first allied science, health sciences to go back, and they call it limited face-to-face. Until on the second semester, the Commission on Higher Education said that all programs can go back, but on a limited face-to-face instruction. Let's try to do some history. We are actually exercising, implementing of what we call pedagogy and eutagogy. New terms? New? What about our online participants? Have you heard this word before? Pedagogy and eutagogy? Let's discuss this. First, what is pedagogy? We discussed already cybergogy, right? That's before COVID. Pedagogy. Pera, daghang kwarta. Joke. Taken from the root word peer. Okay, peer focuses on co-learning and co-creating. Focuses on co-learning and co-creating. So what's this? Specifically, it is a theory of peer-to-peer learning. A theory of peer-to-peer learning and teaching that addresses the challenge of peer producing a useful and supportive context for self-directed learning. Okay, you can actually download a handbook of pedagogy. It's a very nice material to read about the pedagogy. But just to highlight on the concept of pedagogy, it is actually based on the principles of this. One is the decentralized center. What is decentralized principle? Understanding the concept of shared context is more important than understanding one's self-concept. That is why we have a lot of group activities, peer review, peer evaluation, peer assessment. Another principle also under pedagogy is meta-learning. Meta-learning as a source of knowledge. This is the principle where it's said to be that there is a lot to learn about learning. The third is peers have different but equal perspective. And that's a challenging one. Learners must confront and make sense of the difference among them as part of the learning experience instead of seeking to confirm what one already knew. Another principle under pedagogy is called learning is distributed and not linear, meaning we can come up with a very good idea coming from the different contribution from the different members in a group or in a peer. And last is realize the dream. If you can, then move on. Learners should attempt to fulfill their personal motivation, but should not dwell too much. What are the technologies? No, and I think some of our teachers here in the online participants are using this technology, services, and platform under pedagogy type of delivery. One is forum, online forum. I think you're familiar. Online forum, these are web-based multimedia that enables groups of people to conduct and organize, so on and so forth. I think you're very familiar to that. Wiki, familiar with wikis? Example, give me a wiki site. One. Yeah, daghang wiki. Like for example,
Ay wiki how ko sa labas na ay video game, wiki na ay celebrities, especially. Kaya na name site up there para mo
Yeah, there's a lot of wiki. The most popular is Wikipedia. Okay? Wikipedia, a website whose users, you have to take note. That is why Wikipedia, in my class, I don't allow my students, especially for research classes, to cite Wikipedia. Why? Because a Wikipedia is a website whose users, any user, can add, can modify, can delete content on that website. A 5-year-old can actually add content into a wiki. So we have to be critical in choosing a wiki website for your references. We also have real meetings. Real meetings. For example, video, our Zoom, our Google Meet. Those are examples of this. And open educational resources. Are you familiar with the OER? Where you can download content for free, you can upload material because you wanted it for others to be shared, to cite at your own. That's open educational resources. We have one topic. If you are enrolled in our online training, we have another topic for that is under module 2 on how to use open educational resources. Just to highlight on OER, these are Creative Commons or public domain. That means once you contribute, you allowed or give permission that your content can be shared. But of course, there is always the rule that you have to be acknowledged or to be cited. If you are familiar also with MOOC, are you familiar with MOOC? A massive open online course. Why it is massive? Because there's a lot. Just like our training now, it is or it can be at our own context, it can be categorized as massive. In our current training course, there are about 400 plus participants in this online training course. That's already a lot. That's so difficult to manage. Open because it's open, it's free. And then online, obviously, because this is full online. And the course is a combination of self-paced, class-paced. You will see also badges, no, certificate, and the learning community, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of short courses that you can actually enroll coming from those top caliber universities in the world because they offer MOOC program. Let's proceed to the second, the Yotagogy. What is Yotagogy? It is the study. It is the study. Okay. It is the study of self-directed learning and self-determined learning, self-paced, asynchronous learning, self-paced learning. Yotagogy is about teaching learners how to learn. That is why you're given option whether you will take the quiz first and read, or read the resources first, or take the quiz. No, there is a self-paced. Yotagogy looks to the future in which knowing how to learn will be a fundamental skill given given the pace of innovation and the changing structure of communities and workplaces. Yotagogy is actually an extension of andragogy. Familiar with andragogy? No, also andragogy, that's for learning with the adults. No? And in Yotagogy, Yotagogy is a continuous andragogy. Andragogy is self-directed. Yotagogy is also, is a self-determined. For Yotagogy, this is a double loop learning capability development, learner directed, no, learner directed, and getting students to understand how they learn as the process. So here is the pyramid of processes. Level 1 is engagement, level 2 is cultivation, and level 3 is the realization. So what are the design elements of pedagogical approach? Just to share some of these approaches includes learner-defined, learner contracts. This is where, what do you want to learn in my class? Something like that. Flexible curriculum, flexible and negotiated assessment, learning journals are used. Action research is also one approach. Formative and summative assessment, and collaborative learning as approaches to, or as design elements to pedagogical approach. So that's before COVID and during COVID. Yeah, touch screens. Okay. So before COVID, cybergogy, COVID guys, from flexible learning to limited face-to-face, we implemented pedagogy and pedagogy. What's next? From limited face-to-face to the preferred future. The preferred future is our post-pandemic teaching and learning. That's actually now or then second semester or the next year, because it depends. It depends on how the institution visualize and imagine their positioning in terms of the new normal of teaching and learning. The Commission on Higher Education said flexible learning is the new normal. And that means institutions should create perhaps new programs, should create new technique, new delivery to make the classroom more flexible as envisioned. So that's the post-pandemic. So what are the pedagogical models under post-pandemic or during the post-pandemic or to the preferred future? What do we want? No? What are these? So that's the question that I will be discussing. So this one is the hybrid and the high flex as a modality. So what are these? Okay, so these are technology integration models with face-to-face component. You have to take note that full online distance learning is also a modality under flexible learning. But we are looking it now as the new normal where people can come into the campus in person and popularly known as the limited face-to-face. And I call it with face-to-face component. So I added blended learning because we have also to innovate. Blended learning actually is being practiced before COVID, long time ago. But there are innovations already when it comes to blended learning. So blended learning versus hybrid learning versus high flex. What are these? We know that in blended learning, before, there were this kind of models. There's a so-called rotation model, flex model, self-blended model, and the enriched virtual model. Learning, in blended learning, learning happens in face-to-face sessions and online. With both modalities, integrate into a cohesive learning experience. Online materials and activities are meant to complement and support each other. It also supplement and build upon the face-to-face time. There is no reduction in terms of the class time. That is blended learning. Take a look at this. These are traditional model of blended learning, and I will innovate this later on. Let's proceed to hybrid. What is hybrid? A hybrid, this is in contrast to blended courses or blended learning. Hybrid replaces much of the face-to-face time with online interaction. No, there is a reduction of face-to-face with online interaction, and a significant portion of the course takes place online. And online components can be synchronous meaning using video platform, and or asynchronous using our learning management system. That's hybrid. The third one is HyFlex. So what is a HyFlex? HyFlex learning combines the word hybrid and flexible. Each class is offered in person, synchronously online via Zoom, Google Meet, and asynchronously online using the learning management system to provide flexible experience and multiple modes of participation. Here, in HyFlex, students are given choice in how they could participate in the class and engage with material, and can change their method of participation throughout the course, either weekly, by topic, or according to preference. Those are the definition of HyFlex learning. At one glance, these are the different course models. Okay? There is a fully in-person. Well, we will not remove that into the equation, because there are really courses that can be designed for a full in-person. There is a so-called blended. There is also a so-called hybrid and the HyFlex. The extreme also is the full online. We're done into this. Okay? But there are some schools who are now preparing, who are now in the stage or level where preparing for another cohort of students, that they can offer a full online degree program. For example, BS education. We will be applying perhaps in the future to offer a BS education to be delivered online. And that's another student, meaning there will be two cohorts of learners under BS education: the on-campus students or the in-person students and the online students. They will have separate matriculation and so on and so forth, because that's another modality. Okay, so blended, hybrid, and HyFlex. This time, I will try to innovate that and focus more as a teaching approach. As a teaching approach in a technology-enhanced flexible learning in the context of limited face-to-face instruction. Questions so far? Especially on the cybergogy, pedagogy, utagogy. None? What about our online audience? Just like to share produce. Yeah, there's a lot of framework and evaluating online resources. There's also time. There are many frameworks. No? Feel free to, for our online audience, feel free to just drop your questions in the chat box, because we have some assistants who will read that and share that to me. Questions so far? Just give me a thumbs up if you're there, online participants, just to make sure that you are not sleeping there. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Yeah. I think I have to proceed. No question? Okay, I'll proceed. Before, in 2020, there was this joint memorandum circular by the Commission on Higher Education and the Department of Health. It's a joint circular. Joint meaning they released it. The guidelines on the gradual reopening of campuses of higher education institutions for limited face-to-face classes during COVID-19 pandemic. This was the first release allowing institutions to go back on campus, but only restricted for allied health sciences. That is why our medical school, our PT, our medtech, they were the first who came back to the campus. That in 2020, no, in 2021 first semester. Immediately after that, there's another CMO, I mean Joint Memorandum Circular, extending all programs in higher education under alert level systems for COVID-19 response. For Silliman, we decided not to immediately, all of you will come back to the campus because we're still learning at that time. And in both circular, there was a definition about limited face-to-face instruction. And it defines, it pertains to restricting the number of students to attend face-to-face classes in campus and in any given day based on the degree programs or courses they are enrolled in, cyclical student shifting or rotating schedule, and physical distancing and other health and safety protocol. On the same circular also, there was this provision that states students should not, who could not participate in the conduct of limited face-to-face classes shall continue to be governed by CMO number 4 series of 2020. What is this? This is the guidelines on flexible learning. And that guideline stated or defined what is flexible learning, what are the technologies, what are the level of integration, and so on and so forth. In this case, the HEI shall implement the necessary mechanism so that the students who opted for flexible learning shall not be present. So this is the one I mentioned to you. This is CMO number 4, the guidelines on the implementation of flexible learning. You better download that because that will serve as our guide when we introduce technology in our class. The commission also stated that there's no going back and flexible learning will be the new norm. Let me cite, from now on, flexible learning will be the norm. There's no going back to the traditional full-pack face-to-face classroom. What do you mean by that? And that means that our flexible learning shall continue regardless whether that is face-to-face, I mean in person, not technology-oriented or technology-oriented. In many periodicals, it highlights that CHED cannot require all schools to hold face-to-face classes. That face-to-face classes are not mandatory for universities and colleges. On the other hand, in the Department of Education, contrary to the Commission on Higher Education, the DepEd is really looking to the full pace or to the full in-person or 100% face-to-face classes in November. And I think our basic education right now, our School of Basic Education right now, is preparing for a full gear, Monday to Friday, full in-person classes. Okay? Just very recently, in August, dated August 29, 2022, a TMO was released by the Commission on Higher Education. It stated, just last month, updated guidelines on the implementation of face-to-face classes to prevent and mitigate COVID-19 infections in higher education. In this CMO, there is a provision of restating what is flexible learning. And flexible learning here, in the context of face-to-face learning, okay, take note of this. Flexible learning in this context is defined as face-to-face learning, online learning, offline learning, or any combination of these three learning modalities. So what are flexible learning modalities? Face-to-face, online, offline, and the fourth can be a combination of the three. Okay? And I call it technology enhanced flexible learning because I am biased to technology. That is why you are here. So technology enhanced flexible learning. Flexible learning in general refers to the pedagogical approach, allowing flexibility of time, place, audience, including but not solely focused on the use of technology. So it involves the use of digital and non-digital technology like paper, module, and covers both face-to-face or in-person learning, out of classroom learning modes of delivery, or a combination of modes of delivery. In the same guidelines, it also stated that it is at the discretion of the HEIs to choose which learning modalities they should operationalize, as long as there will be continuity of learning under any flexible modality. HEI shall institute the necessary mechanism so that students who cannot participate in the conduct of face-to-face classes shall not be prejudiced. The same actually from the previous memorandum. So let's focus how blended, hybrid, HyFlex as a teaching strategy as the fourth flexible learning, as a technology-enhanced flexible learning in the context of limited face-to-face instruction. Okay, we know that in blended learning, learning happens mainly 100% inside the classroom. That's blended learning. You just use technology. The second one is hybrid, which most of the time is delivered synchronously online. That is your hybrid learning. While the flexible learning or the HyFlex is a combination of a student attending in person and another student attending online. Just like what we are doing right now. This is a HyFlex seminar. So let me focus on the teaching approaches in the context of limited face-to-face instruction, highlighting some of the strategies that we can apply. Before I'll be sharing with you some strategies, let us revisit first technology integration level, because this will serve as a model to anchor our strategy on the technology-enhanced flexible learning in the context of limited face-to-face instruction. This is a popular integration model, the SUM-R model. What is this? The model is generally divided into two major integration models: transformation and enhancement model. So during the pre-COVID to COVID, in our study, research shows that it's simply more on the enhancement. Okay, this is actually the lowest level. Enhancement is divided into two levels: substitution and augmentation. Substitution means the technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional change. For example, you just use video, you just use Zoom for you to be able to interface with the student. That is substitution. You just substitute the technology part in order for you to deliver the teaching Augmentation is the second. Technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional improvement. Better integration is transformation, which also divided into two. You have the modification, which technology allows for significant task redesigning, and the redefinition, technology allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. From this model, we should not forget that the skills and competencies that we learn about synchronous learning, asynchronous learning, bichronous learning, flip learning, micro learning, personalized learning, and gamification. Let us try to match all of these and put them together into the teaching strategies for technology enhanced flexible learning, blended, hybrid, and high flex model.
Blended learning happens in face-to-face sessions and online with both modalities integrated into a cohesive learning experience. Online materials in blended learning are meant to complement, supplement, and build upon rather than replace face-to-face time. In the next slides, I'll be presenting to you the different teaching strategies of each of the approaches that I presented to you. Take a look on the in-person or classroom column, and so with the technology column, whether it is offline or online. In the conventional blended learning, the lecture and discussion, or I call it knowledge deepening, will be done inside the classroom. And what is the role of the technology in terms or during the lecture? It will serve as the repository of teaching resources like your PowerPoint presentations, your videos, and some reading materials. Activities, performance tasks, skills validation, skills demonstration will be done inside the classroom. While the technology component can be used for activity submissions like terminal reports, assignments, and the assessment in the conventional blended learning can be done inside the classroom. The role of the technology is using an electronic class record to support the assessment. In the conventional blended learning model, there is no technology required inside the classroom. The second teaching strategy for the blended learning approach is the so-called enriched blended learning. Enriched blended learning during lecture, you will use your pre-recorded videos inside the classroom because I am sure you have already your pre-recorded videos that you can reuse from the last 2 years. While the technology during the lecture will serve like a repository of your teaching resources. Activities and some other performance tasks is similar to the conventional.
A while ago, I played a video about blended learning because I wish to demonstrate and illustrate to you what is a blended learning. So a blended learning is basically uh, inside the classroom. Remember that in blended learning inside the classroom, there is no reduction of class time. But where is technology there in the blended? So you can reuse material. So for example, while I'm here, because I already have a pre-recorded material, I will just play it inside the classroom. That's an example of a blended learning. Another example is you will say, okay, we're done in our class. go to our LMS and answer the assignment. Submit your assignment in our learning management system. That's an example of a blended learning. The other or the second one is the hybrid learning. So hybrid learning, these are again in contrast of the blended, where much of the time is delivered online. Now in hybrid learning, I also crafted also three. By the way, in blended learning, there are three teaching strategy. One is conventional, another one is enrich, and the third one is advanced. Here in hybrid learning, it looks like this. In hybrid learning, it looks like this. You have an in-person there. Then from the in-person, you also have the offline, okay, which majority of the time is either delivered offline or online, which is the technology component. So some of the strategies in hybrid learning, the first one is flipped learning. So in flipped learning, this is how you're going to do. During the in-person, there's no more lecture inside the class because these are pre-recorded. That is why it's called flip. And that is done via your technology. For Siliman, that is at MySoul. And all the materials are saved, or you have a repository like in our learning management system, all the materials can be downloaded there. While in the classroom, what will happen inside the classroom is the knowledge deepening. This is more on the Q&A, the discussion. You ask the teacher if there are some items that you did not get from the pre-recorded videos, and a validation of the skills demo, and so on and so forth. During the assessment, it could still be paper-based, but the technology can still use in the recording. So say, for example, the use of the electronic class record. In this teaching strategy, flipped learning, technology requirement inside the classroom is not necessary, meaning no need of having a computer or Wi-Fi inside the classroom because technology is just a support after. The second strategy under hybrid learning is a hybrid learning with synchronous online. Remember, in the first, it's not synchronous. You can because these are just pre-recorded and repository. Here, with synchronous online, the lecture is live via Google Meet or via a pre-recorded one. The knowledge deepening also is live. The lecture, the Q&A, the discussion is conducted live. However, for activities and performance tasks, that could be done inside the classroom or the in-person component. Skills validation, your teaching demo perhaps, how do you roam around the classroom in case for the student teacher. And here in the with synchronous strategy, assessment could be either paper-based or proctored online exam using the learning management system of the institution. Sir, but we don't have computer lab inside our classroom because it's a classroom type. Then maybe you can apply a BYOD. BYOD means bring your own device or in a computer laboratory. But here, unlike with the other one, the first one is unlike with the rotational. Unlike with the flip synchronous learning, there are technologies needed inside the classroom, such as a computer, a projector, a computer laboratory. Perhaps you will do the exams or the assessment in a laboratory. That obviously having Wi-Fi or with internet connection. Okay, that's with synchronous. The third strategy under hybrid learning is the rotational. So what is rotational? A rotational is something like this. In terms of assessment, in terms of lecture and the knowledge deepening, you can either choose the flip or the synchronous online. What emphasizes here actually on the rotational is you divide your students in group, and then the first group will come in person, while the remaining group of students will just perform their activities asynchronously. Okay? Because that's a hybrid. So rotational. So group A, maybe they will come Monday and Tuesday. And then while the remaining groups will just do or perform the assignment. So on Thursday and Friday, the other group will come in. And then those who came during the Monday and Tuesday will perform another activity. That's a rotational hybrid learning. So there are three: flip, with synchronous online, and rotational hybrid learning. In blended learning, traditional, enrich, and the advanced. Okay, let's go to the third. The third is the high flex learning. So to visualize a high flex learning is something like this. If you have an in-person, that's your room, and then you will also have the students who are online. You will have another environment where students are inside the classroom, and on the other side, the students are attending live via Zoom. That's like what we are doing right now. High flex delivery. It's a seminar that is delivered in a high flex strategy. So you can also have options in the high flex, because you cannot actually do high flex all the time. Because you just imagine you will need all this technology. You just imagine all the technical challenges. You know, the video did not play. I have to, things like those. So there are also menus and options that you can do. The first one is either you can do it during lecture, just like what we are doing right now. While I'm having a lecture here inside the classroom, they are also listening to me via Zoom. That's high flex. You can also do high flex during knowledge deepening, skills demonstration, validation, and performance. In extreme cases, so for example, because still COVID, or what if half of your class are half of your class are positive. So obviously they could not come. But you have to move on to the performance skills, teaching demo, and so on and so forth. So allow them to participate if they can, right? So still high flex is applicable in skills, validation, and performance in some cases. The last strategy that you can follow is during assessment. So obviously, any of the hybrid variants, but only a portion of the class attends the face-to-face, while the other group of students attends the class via Google Meet or Zoom. So for example, while you are taking online here, taking the quiz here, maybe you can also have the other group of students taking the quiz online. That's high flex during the assessment. So high flex during lecture, high flex during knowledge deepening or skills performance, and high flex during assessment, written assessment. However, in high flex requirement, in high flex learning, it requires or it has to be emphasized when it comes to technology, because there are technological requirements. No? And it comes into different levels. For example, for level 1, this is the least that you could do. One laptop or desktop with a camera, internet, and a projector. You can do high flex with that, meaning you just give your other group of students who cannot attend in person, you will just give them the Zoom link or Google Meet, and then they can join. They can only see the teacher. No? That's level 1. Level 2 is you will need 2 to 4 laptops or desktop. One to be stationed in front for the speaker, another to be stationed perhaps on the left side, and then on the back view, and on the right view or the side view, just to make sure that both learners in person and the online can interact to each other. Okay? And the most expensive one is the special high flex, just like what we are using here at the Dr. Mariano Lau ICI laboratory. We have a sensor camera here. Everywhere I go, that camera followed me. No? While this one, we can switch to the different views. So for example, we wanted to focus at this side, we can do that. We can also focus at the left side, we can also do that by just having our remote here. And that's a little bit a type of technology that the school needs to invest. Because that's also a new technology. It's a new, not really new, but many schools are new into the concept of high-flex technology or high-flex delivery. Okay, so to visualize the tree, it looks like this. In blended learning, the technology is away, not detached inside the classroom. Meaning, while you lecture inside the class, technology is just a supplement in the in-person. For the hybrid, is a combination where majority of the class time is delivered via the technology, either online or offline. And in the high flex, there is a balance between the in-person and an offline. Why? Because you merge them together, you meet them together via the high flex technology. Okay, I hope you can see the difference of the three approaches: blended, hybrid, and the high flex learning. But remember, a course or a subject may have one or more technology-oriented teaching approaches with one or more strategies. What I mean is, say for example, if you have your TTL1, it doesn't mean that TTL1 will just use hybrid with flipped learning. It could be a combination. When I say a course or subject may have one or more technology-oriented teaching approaches, there are three: blended, hybrid, and high flex, with one or more strategies. Each approaches have three strategies. Like for example, for blended, you have traditional, enriched, and advanced. For hybrid, you have flipped with synchronous online and rotational. For high flex, during lecture, during performance tasks or skills validation, and during assessment. So it could be a combination of one or more. Maybe your midterm, a topic there is full in person because perhaps the topic cannot be achieved. The learning outcome of the topic cannot be achieved via technology. So you need to come there. Maybe during the midterm period, a combination of hybrid, and so on and so on. There are more approaches and strategies actually that you can browse from the internet. Say for example, the University of the Philippines, they also declare their own teaching approaches, modalities, and strategies. Say for example, they have the so-called online, the mix of online and face-to-face. They also have the classic blended learning, and then they also have the high flex learning, and then the face-to-face instruction. And I know, especially to our teachers here in Zoom, for sure you have your own declaration of modality, you have your own interpretation and description of your approaches and strategies in the flexible learning, especially in the context of limited face-to-face instruction. So that is hybrid, blended, hybrid, and high flex as a teaching approach and strategies for technology enhanced flexible learning in the context of flexible learning. The next question perhaps is, so what should be the right model, the right modality, and the right teaching approach and strategies in the coming year? Yes, yay, we're excited for the 100% in-person at the School of Basic Education. Because we are all excited to see them every day, 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? And talk and talk and talk and talk. Huh? That's fine. But the Commission Higher Education said that flexible learning is the new normal and that we can incorporate our approaches and strategy. Let me lay some card of some of the realities that perhaps can help us in determining the kind of modality as part of the post-pandemic era. And this is my last slide that talks about toward what's gonna be our preferred modality, teaching and learning. Remember, again, that in the post-pandemic, these are the hybrid and high flex. I added blended. No, we modified blended to be part of the post-pandemic teaching modalities, approaches, and strategies. So moving forward, there's a lot that we could do and determine, especially in our future, because we know that the future is not a fixed point, and there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of plausible circumstance when we think about a range of future that we can organize them. And there is a so-called plausible futures possibility that could happen given the bounds of uncertainty, probable future, possible future, and the preferred future. This refers to the vision we have for possibilities we want to come or to see come true. So what do we want to see to come true? And this is actually choosing the right techno-pedagogy in the preferred future. And I should say it's a challenging one. Challenging because it is anchored on the institution's vision and mission. Challenging because it should be anchored on the available resources that the institution has. The skills of the teachers, accessibility of the teachers, accessibility of the learners, the competency, the right attitude, and others. But we should never forget that whether we like it or not, there is always disruptions. That is why the fourth industrial revolution comes, and there's a lot of fourth industrial revolution technologies, which includes artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, where everything is connected through sensors. You will come to realize your information is already there because there is perhaps your watch is connected to the internet. You can even check and so on and so forth. That is why it's called Internet of Things. We also have the so-called wearables and virtual reality in the classroom. You don't need to go to a real cave for you to experience a cave. You can just put some VRs and then you can see as if you are immersed in a real cave or in a space. Okay, you don't need to go to a space for you to experience in a space. You can just use the VR. There are also robotics and mechatronics that can enhance teaching and learning, especially in developed countries, and a lot more. There are innovations in terms of research and productivity through analytics. We can augment teaching and learning. We can predict when the student will fail because of the data through computer programming, algorithms, and others. We should let me cite also in the World Economic Forum, they emphasizes on two: content and experiences. In the content, the World Economic Forum highlighted on these four major skills: global citizenship skills, innovation and creativity skills, technology skills, and the interpersonal skills. Two of these are technology related: innovation and creativity, as well as the technological skills. That refers to content. When it comes to experience, all of these always connected to ICT. For example, personalized and self-paced learning. There's a lot of software that can do personalized learning. Accessible and inclusive learning. We should make sure that our content are accessible anywhere, anytime. The student can learn anywhere, anytime. Problem-based and collaborative learning. Lifelong and student-driven learning. Our objective really in the post-pandemic, considered as the new normal, is on digital resiliency, that all of us, our teachers, our students, parents, all stakeholders in the digital educational system will be resilient in terms of digital skills and competencies towards education 5.0. Sadly, in some other countries, they're actually talking about education 5.0, but in the Philippines, a long way to go to education 5.0. We're still struggling to understand 4.0, but with our neighboring countries, they are talking already, doing some research and development on education 5.0, which is achieving towards the last level of technology integration in the classroom called knowledge creation. When we say knowledge creation, putting human qualities in the center of education, considering not only the market or company, the needs, but societal and learner needs, offering big picture of education to relevant, personalized, and personal learning. What are the things that we should do for us to prepare for the post-pandemic teaching and learning? We should continue to attend trainings like this, retool ourselves, relearn and learn, no? And learn, because there might be things, who knows, on the second semester, there might be other, because our learners have experienced already full technology for the past 2 years, they might be looking for that in the next or in the future semesters. We need to continue to upskill of what we learn about technology, our skills, our competencies, our knowledge. And after learning, we need also to reskill ourselves. We should not be contented that we just learned the term flip learning today. So we should relearn and reskill ourselves for us to gain more competencies and skills when it comes to digital integration. We should look at educational technology as a whole ecosystem of the responsibility and function of a teacher in terms of teacher professional development, goals, policy goals. Look at educational technology, how you craft your policy and goals inside your classroom. What are the tools and concepts in terms of its pedagogical use, in terms of classroom management and organization, the social and ethical skills. We should not forget that, because that's very, very important, especially nowadays that social media is always abused by our learners, ranting there and so on and so forth, right? And curriculum and assessment. Educational technology in all aspects of teaching and learning. And that what we call digital leadership is very, very important in all aspects of teaching and learning. Dear teachers, future teachers and librarians, there's a lot of research and development opportunities in educational technology. When it comes to procedures and when it comes to procedures and processes, when it comes to hardware and telecommunication, maybe we will just give this to IT and some computer science. But procedures and processes, we can, any discipline can do this, look at what are the processes and look at the different procedures when technology integration is conducted. We can also look at some patterns and models using educational technologies. For example, uh, we will try to predict with some analytics and some data science, data analysis. Using all your data, you can predict when the students will fail, or you can predict the attrition rate and so on and so forth. Then, of course, you can do some research and development in the aspect of educational tools and platform being used and the most appropriate in your classroom. That's those are some considerations of what is the best teaching modality for the post-pandemic. So I just leave it to you. I am not saying that blended is the most applicable one, or hybrid or hyplex, because again, it's still dependent to the institution, the classroom, to the teacher, and the entire ecosystem should agree to each other. In summary, the real new normal is now. Because 2 years ago, there's a lot of saying that we are now in the new normal. We're not yet in the new normal. We're still learning. Now it's actually the new normal. Going back, perhaps, hopefully, COVID will be gone. If not will be gone, at least we were able to manage it, right? And all of this new normal is driven by the 21st century teaching and learning. We should never forget that all of this is anchored on the global perspective on the 21st century teaching and learning. That skills acquired, that in the last 2 years, we were able to acquire new skills, digital skills in particular, during the pandemic. We should not forget those challenges in learning and attending training via Zoom, how to manage breakout sessions, how to pre-record. All of those skills are helpful in deciding the type of modality, approaches, and strategies that we wish to follow and implement in the post-pandemic times. Another one is this is also driven with the fact of an availability and presence of disruptive technologies. I'm referring to the fourth industrial revolution technology, because whether we like it or not, that existed. Those technologies exist and now available. Those technologies, advanced technologies, can always be utilized. For sure, there are ways to utilize those in our teaching and learning. And last but not the least, there are some menus and there are some choices that laid into or put into our table. It's up to us which of those we wanted to embrace more and implement in our classroom. These technology-oriented teaching approaches include blended, hybrid, and hyplex modality. And that in each of these, for blended teaching strategy, it includes conventional, enriched, and advanced. And for hybrid strategies, there is flipped learning with synchronous online and rotational. And for hyplex, you can deliver hyplex strategy either during lecture during performance tasks, and during assessment. With it, I hope that I shared with you some input on what should be the best for our students. After all, we are doing all of this with the main purpose to deliver and to educate young learners using educational technology. These are my references. A full detail of my material can be downloaded in the virtual classroom of our training course. And a more detailed discussion are also posted in the virtual classroom. These are my references if you are excited or if you're interested to view and browse each of these, you can also click them. And for those who are participant in the online training course, don't forget to do activity one. It's just a reflection, especially during the past 2 years. How engaged were your students during the past 2 school years? What do you think is the level of their engagement? And also another check. This is only a 10 item. Hopefully you can try to self-check if you learned something from the lesson, especially on techno-pedagogical models. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sir Dave, Dr. Dave. So I know for sure that that was a very insightful discussion. So I know for sure now you've seen the teaching approaches that your teachers might be using or you will be using later on your career as a teacher. So basically this is now towards an improved normal. So I know for sure you have some questions that you might want to ask our speaker, and now is the time. We can just for our Zoom participants, you may raise your virtual hand, and for our live participants, just call Sir Dave and he'll answer you. Yeah, so questions now again are welcome. You may put it in the chat box in Zoom or raise your virtual hand. So we don't have any questions yet. Sir Dave, perhaps is there a chance we can let our Zoom participants see our the new technology that we have right now for hybrid? Is there a way we can like focus the new technology there and let them see it? Because as what they said, the microphone is the audio is good.
Grace, can you do that? Perhaps point to. We have two gadgets here. One is the what we call this. This is the one that will really follow me. Is that one? That's a what do you call this one? Because generally these are just HyFlex tools, HyFlex technology. So we have two here. One is pointing to the speaker or the MC. So everywhere I go, it moves. If you can see, it moves around here. While the other one, I think this is the one, right?
Yes.
Okay. While the audience view for our online participants, you look for audience view. The Zoom participant, we named it the audience view. The audience view is another set of technology that's actually pointing to the audience, but it's a remote control where we can point. No? So we can put them like view 1, view 2, view 3, and view 4. So something like that.
Yes, thank you, Sir Dave. So
Yeah,
basically,
that's
yeah, that's a
tracking.
tracking
Yeah, it's a
camera.
tracking. The one is a tracking camera, right? Tracking.
Oh, Sir Dave, in Zoom, there is a question. Do you have any apps to suggest to gamify content or assessment for kindergarten lessons?
Yeah, that's a very good question in the gamification assessment in general. Module 2 consists of technology, so please attend our training because there is a lesson there that talks about assessment tools for flexible learning in the limited face to face. So we will be introducing apps, mobile apps, web-based apps that you can utilize, which is appropriate perhaps in your learning outcomes.
Okay, so I guess that's it. Any other questions, please? Even to our audience there. Audience with you, Sir Dave.
You just try to us. You just try to us, and then so that the Zoom audience can also interact. Hmm? There's no question from the in-person audience, please.
Okay, so I guess that's it for our open forums. I think you've already, yeah, no questions already, sir. I think you've already pointed it out and it's clear to them. Now, we'll just go a little bit for the announcement as what Sir Dave mentioned a while ago. Please do the knowledge check, activity and performance tasks. And we'll see you again on September 26th for another Zoom or not another knowledge depending of the lesson. Before we go, may we take this opportunity to have a photo taken with everyone. I'll just stop the share screen and may I ask our Sir Fredley, can I request everyone please to have their webcams turned on?
Join us here. So, come here.
And our live audience in the Mariano Lao building.
Here, get inside here. Okay. So, dili gani, di ba? Tama? Oh, sige, here. Come here. Here, get inside. Quick. They're waiting so that they can see you here. Oh, see?
Yeah, there.
Yay. Just look at them there. See?
Okay, we have 4 frames. So
No,
let's do the first frame. So please show us your best smile.
Big of man.
So ready for the first frame? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, let's proceed to the second frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. Third frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. And the last frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you everyone. Back to you.
So thank you once again. This has been your host, Orielisa Maipa, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.
Assessment animes evaluation. I don't see any link at LMS. Thank you very much.
Nalimot mag-share sa video. Bye everyone. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to sign in the attendance sheet. Bye Zoom participants. Thank you for coming. As to the question on the attendance, as mentioned, there's no need of attendance for this, for the online participants.